Bro, Speed really changing the game for real. Like, I didn't know Africa was such a beautiful country. They got cars, they got water, they got Wi-Fi. Like, we was lied to. We was really lied to. The music in Africa is just so beautiful. I used to think the only song in Africa was Waka Waka by Shakira. Come to find out, they got Davido. The US government really brainwashed us, bro. We need to go back to our brothers and sisters. Like, I really thought everybody in Africa speaks like this. And the best part of all, hear me out. Hear me out. You're not gonna believe this. They got more than one country. No, I'm not kidding. They got more. I thought it was just Africa. I really thought it was just Africa. I'm like, don't cancel me for this, but I low-key thought they live in huts. I like, you know, that's just what they teach us.
Africa got buildings. They got power. Not yet. Still, they got towers. Swear on everything, bro. I thought it was just clay and tribes and shit, bro. Yeah, cause the ground be like, you know, like that red orange type of clay, bro.
Most people didn't discover Africa this month. They discovered what they were missing. They discovered the gap between what they were taught and what is real. And the reason this went viral isn't even just because a streamer showed up. It's because millions of people, and Americans, especially Black Americans, watched the same live streams and realized in real time that the mental picture they carried was wrong. Listen to what those Black Americans are actually saying. They're not just reacting to cities or buildings. They're reacting to a lifetime of conditioning. You hear it in the words, "I thought it was just clay and tribe tents." Americans' reactions on IShowSpeed's Africa tour. That's not a travel opinion. That's a confession. And it's messy because it forces a question nobody likes. How do you grow up in the most media-saturated country on earth and still imagine a whole continent as one sad, dusty stereotype?
Man, this whole time, bro, they made us fucking think Africa was such a poor country, bro. Such a place you wouldn't want to be at, bro.
The whiplash is the point. And what makes this emotionally explosive is that some viewers weren't just surprised, they were hurt.
And Speed is single-handedly changing my perspective on life. Like the music in Africa, the culture, everything, every single aspect of Africa just makes my insides feel so good, bro. It makes me just want to leave America. Bro, I feel like America is the trap. America is the trap. The American dream is the trap. Everybody else is free, but not free from America.
For some people in the diaspora, this wasn't content. It felt like reconnection. Now here's the twist. IShowSpeed didn't show up with a PR team from a ministry. He didn't arrive with a state visit schedule. He didn't come to deliver speeches about development. He came to do what he always does: chaos, speed, loud reactions, and real-life energy. And yet, without intending to, he did what many official campaigns fail to do. He made Africa feel present to people who only ever saw it as a headline. That's why this hits different. Because the Africa many Americans know is built from two things: a charity ad and a crisis clip, a starving child and a war montage. And the human brain is simple. What you see repeatedly becomes your default reality. So when a streamer shows ordinary life markets, cars, music, jokes, crowds, selfies, it doesn't just add information. It overwrites the old file. And that overwrite happens emotionally first and intellectually later. But let's be quick to anchor this in facts so we don't float away on vibes. According to reporting by Associated Press, Speed wrapped up a 28-day tour across 20 African countries, explicitly framed as showing cultural diversity that's often overshadowed by images of poverty and violence. It started in Angola and moved through multiple regions. Along the way, he attended the Africa Cup of Nations final in Morocco, visited Senegal, including Gorée Island's House of Slaves, and hit major audience milestones while streaming from Nigeria. That matters because it shows this wasn't one viral moment. It was sustained exposure. And sustained exposure is how perception actually changes. Now here's where we get uncomfortable. This isn't about calling Americans stupid, even though some of them really are. It's about recognizing what information environment they live in. If you only hear about Africa when there's an Ebola headline, a coup, famine, a war, a Save the Children donation drive, then your mind doesn't build a balanced picture. It builds a shortcut, a stereotype, and stereotypes are efficient. They save the brain energy. That's why somebody can genuinely think they all live in huts, then feel shocked that there's Wi-Fi. And to be clear, yes, hardship exists. Yes, poverty exists. Yes, some areas struggle with infrastructure. But the problem is, people were shown only the hardship and told that was the whole story. And once the stereotype is built, it becomes self-reinforcing. Because people don't search for what they think they already know. They just keep believing it.
Y'all probably wondering why I'm crying. I've been watching Speed streams, and I'm seeing all the love that he's getting in Angola. He's in South Africa, and he's getting massive amount of love, and the way that he was treated in Europe was disgusting. But to see him be a black man from the United States of African descent and be able to go back to the continent and be treated like a human by civilized African people, when we've been taught that Africa is primitive, that it's dangerous, don't go back, they have this, they have that, they don't want you, they don't like you. And to see an African American man with his stature go back to the motherland and be treated with so much respect. This is what our people fought for. This is what they fought for when they fought against Jim Crow and segregation. This is what the slave revolts were about.
Here's what you're really watching in those reaction clips. You're watching people process 3 shocks at once. First shock, modernity. IShowSpeed's Africa tour showed cars, nightlife, tech things that should not be shocking, but are because of the story they absorbed. Second shock, welcome. A black American in Africa welcomed as if he has always lived in the continent. Third shock, identity. Because for some diaspora viewers, it's not tourism. It's inheritance, and that's why you see tears. That's why you hear people say, "Oh, we've been lied to." Now we have to say this out loud. A loud, chaotic influencer can open a door, but can also turn a place into a backdrop. He can humanize, but also flatten complexity if the audience only consumes the crazy moments. So the question is not, is this good or bad? The question is, what happens next? Because if the only lesson people take is, wow, Africa has buildings, that's not enlightenment. That's step 1. The deeper lesson is, Africa is not a myth. Not a single story, not a charity case, not a war documentary. It's a continent of countries, each with their own politics, class systems, inequalities, beauty, dysfunction, innovation, and contradictions. To me, why this moment matters beyond entertainment. Because here's the real impact. Perception is not just feelings. Perception is where people invest, where people travel, who they hire, who they respect, what they teach their kids, what they believe is possible. So when millions of young people see Africa through normal human interaction, laughing, eating, walking, talking, it makes it harder to keep selling Africa as a permanent disaster. And if you want the simplest proof that this tour became bigger than content, look at how governments and institutions started reacting to it. For example, Ghanaian media reported the approval of a Ghanaian passport for Speed after the tour, framed as recognizing him as a kind of ambassador figure in terms of visibility. Whether people love that or hate that, it tells you the same thing. This wasn't just a trip. It became a narrative event.
Chad, Ghana has such a beautiful scenery, bro. Come on. I'm gonna miss Africa, bro. I'm gonna get a house here, though. I'm gonna get a house here. I gotta get a crib here, bro. I have to. I think it's smart to get one, too.
So what is Speed really? He's not a politician. He's not an academic. He's not a liberation movement. He's an amplifier, a chaotic mirror held up to a reality people were trained not to see. And the American reactions you're embedding, those aren't just funny clips. They are receipts. Receipts of a worldview collapsing. And in 2026, that collapse matters because perception is the beginning of policy, travel, business, identity, and respect. And if a single streamer can shift this many minds, then the real question is not why didn't we know? The real question is, who benefited from us not knowing? Now, I want you to tell me something in the comments, no posturing, no performative takes. What was the most shocking moment for you? Was it the crowds, the cities, the joy, the welcome, the emotion in the reactions? And if you're from the diaspora, did this feel like entertainment or did it feel like a piece of you waking up? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more videos that pull apart the stories we were handed and replace them with reality, subscribe, not for hype, for clarity, for truth, for the parts of the world we were never taught to see.
Damn, I really enjoyed Africa. Didn't you, Henry? Didn't you enjoy Africa? No place like home.
See you in the next episode. Take care.